Angus Wheaton Landscape Design has generously allowed us to use this drawing to demonstrate printing in its many forms. Well, let's imagine that we need a very high resolution PDF file from GCAD+. One way you can do that is to go to a layout space. Let's click on the floating viewport border and notice that it's to be printed at 1:100 at a fixed scale. And we come back here. I draw your attention to this symbol for the SUV, and let's edit it. And notice that if I click in here, this is a gradient. A gradient's been applied through here. Well, let's close the block editor and we'll print this drawing. When we print from layout space, and I'll just unselect all, and we use one of the phantom printers, if you like, and there are many. These are printers that imaginary printers, they're not attached to the computer, and one of them's CutePDF writer, and I've set it up so it will print at very high resolution, 2400 by 2400. You can change that through this little button here. Notice also that I've said don't fit to paper, just a scale of 1:1, because remember we set the scale of that floating viewport at 1:100. So we can OK it. And the PDF writer will now do its job. I'm going to put it on the desktop and I'll just call it GCAD+ drawing. So it should give us a very high resolution print. It takes a little time, but I'll use my Explorer, and here it is, GCAD+ drawing. I'll right click and open with Adobe Acrobat. What I want to demonstrate is that it is genuinely a very high resolution print. We can Control+ and zoom in, and we've got very nice quality printing. But notice that this area on the symbol is not printing properly, and that's typical. You really want, if you want high resolution prints and you want to use PDF writer, any PDF writer, you will need to eliminate the use of not only gradients but also point gradients and transparency. Let's demonstrate. Well, I have jumped back into model space, selected that block and removed that point gradient. So now we can go to view and take off transparent, render, put it back on, and there's no transparency used or any gradients used. We think now it should print. And so before printing, I'm going to just go to format and just change my line weight. 0.25 is sometimes a little dense, a little heavy. We'll just trim it back slightly by going to 0.18, and we'll apply that. And now we can print, do a test print. File and print. We don't need to change anything at all, so we can say OK. So it's using the PDF writer and enabling us to generate another PDF file, and we'll call this GCAD+ drawing 2 and save it. Doesn't take very long, and we can jump back into our Windows Explorer and then open this one and open it using Adobe Acrobat. And there we are. If I zoom in, Control+ is a shorthand way of doing it. And I think you would agree our text prints really nicely, and we've got as much definition as we need. So you can print high resolution to a PDF writer or similar PDF tool and print from a GCAD+ drawing, but you need to be careful that the design doesn't have any point gradients or transparency. I'm now going to move on to an alternative way of working with a design where you can have transparency and point gradients. Well, I've gone back into the drawing and re-established that point gradient through there. And what I've also done is I've taken this symbol here and given it some transparency, because we'd quite like to be able to see detail of planting through it. And I've done the same here. So that's just done by picking it up and say, we want to be able to see through all parts of the canopy. It's going to take me a little time to do that. But I think if we reduce them all from 255 to say something like 125 and hit enter and then close the block editor, we should then be able to see through the design. That's not obliterating the design. You can check that transparency is part of this design by clicking the view and have it on or off. So we're ready to print, but we can't get a high resolution print from it. But what we can do is use a tool called SavePDF. And we can say we're going to use a window. We just try it at high resolution first, and we'll say OK. First corner, we'll just wrap a box around it, and we say, let's go to the desktop again, and we'll call it GCAD Plus Drawing 3. And in it goes. This time you can see that the transparency and coloration is fine, but we need to play with the weight of printing it a little bit faint. So there's a little bit of juggling to do. We'll close all the tabs now and come back in here, and we'd put our line weights back from 0.18. We'll make it 0.25 and we would apply it. And if we ran that again, and I'll do that, we should get a better result. However, we can't print accurately to scale doing that. And what I would then do is just insert a scale bar in the design, somewhere convenient where you'd have a north point and a scale bar. And I'll just pause recording and do that. Do not scale off the drawing, but do have your scale bar inside the drawing. Well, here is the result. I've added a scale bar and a north indicator, and this can be used as a reasonable substitute for PDF printing at high resolution if you need to show transparency and color. And I'm happy with that result.